Happy to have you along as always. We are joined by Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, a food and wine sommelier of the year. The group includes Where We Are, Church Key, Downstairs, Birch and Barley. Greg, it is always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What is on tap this week?
So this week we're about to celebrate what has become a major holiday in the craft beer world, and actually a global holiday of sorts.
What could be better than a holiday and a craft beer holiday?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that concept.
So it's called Zwanzi Day, and it was created by Cantillon a few years back. This will actually be the third annual Zwanzi Day coming up this weekend on Saturday right here at Church Key. We will be tapping the special release of Zwanzi 2013 right at 3 p.m. And so a little bit about that. Cantillon, of course, is a wonderful producer of spontaneously fermented lambic from Brussels, the Anderlecht district of Brussels on the western edge. In and around Brussels, there's a region we call the Pajottenland, and that's where lambic, spontaneous fermentation, hails from. So Cantillon a few years back decided to create a holiday to celebrate lambic, and it happens every September now, and it's called Zwanzi. Zwanzi is a Flemish word that actually means kind of self-deprecating joke. The Flemish people are known for having this kind of wry, sharp, self-deprecating humor, and so Zwanzi is a joke, and Zwanzer is a jokester of sorts. So he decided to create this for the Flemish beer that is lambic, creating this sort of holiday. And each year they release a new special lambic from Cantillon and ship it to a very small amount of bars, restaurants, and breweries all over the globe. So this year there are 46 different bars, restaurants, and breweries even throughout the world who will be tapping this very special keg of Zwanzi 2013 at 6 p.m. on Saturday. And it's really cool. 24 of those 46 are in the United States. Church Key is honored to be one of them. So in anticipation of that, of course, we are going to taste the standard bearer of lambic from the Cantillon Brewery, which is called Classic Gueuze. And
okay.
Just have it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really nice.
Amazing beer. So the Gueuze is a blend of three kind of threads of lambic. So first and foremost, these breweries, there's 8 brewers of lambic, spontaneously fermented beer in the Pajottenland region. And then there are 5 blenders who buy lambic, age it in barrels, and then blend it together. So lambic is it's beer that is literally fermented from airborne wild yeast, Brettanomyces of different strains, and then positive bacteria that are swimming around us all the time, like Lactobacillus and Pediococcus. All of this comes into the beer while the beer is cooling after it's been mashed and boiled. And it's sitting in this open pan called the coolship. Wild yeast bacteria jumps in, begins to ferment, but that's going to take some time. So after the beer is cooled, they bring that beer down, now that's been inoculated, and put it into oak barrels, where there's even more wild yeast bacteria lying in wait, feeding on the carbohydrates of the oak itself, and they'll turn their attention to the beer. And so over time, the beer will become really funky and wild. That's the Brettanomyces giving you that horse blanket, leather, rustic, earthy notes that we find predominantly in the nose here. Different strains of Brett doing that. The bacterias will bring in the really nice acidity that we find here that's really lively and refreshing. And this will happen over a period of time. So once upon a time, they always just served lambic kind of straight and flat because it flattens out as it ages for a number of years, actually. So in the 19th century, in an effort to create bottled beer that would be carbonated, they decided to take a lesson from the champagne producers and to kind of blend young and old lambic together into bottles, sparking a re-fermentation. Okay. So the young lambic, 1-year-old lambic in barrels, still has lots of sugar left over. The 2- and 3-year-old lambics are much more dry. They have wild yeast bacteria that are hungry for more. So they put it in a bottle, fermentation happens again, and you get the carbonation that we have here. And this is what we call a gueuze. There's no fruit in it or anything like that. but it's classic.
It's got a great tart start and finishes with a sweet taste.
Sweet, a little bit of sweetness in the end, although that gets dried out by the tannins. The other big thing about this, of course, is the oak tannins coming in. This is kind of the beer world's answer to fine wine in the flavors, and that it has acidity, has a rustic, earthy intensity that you'd associate with like French country wines. Of course, the tannin qualities as well, but also because of terroir. Beer is much different than wine in that grain, it comes out of the ground, pretty general, and then it gets malted, and brewers all kind of use the same hops and malts and things like that. With wine, it's the grape is always specific, site specific to the terroir. So for these breweries, they believe, as do I, that there's a kind of airborne terroir. And so in the brewery of Cantillon, which you should definitely visit, it's also a museum. And it's a museum brewery. In 1978, they changed it into not just a brewery, but also a museum. They believe that the air in that museum brewery is what gives this beer its wonderful character.
People can learn more details about Saturday's event at your website.
Yeah, the website, also Facebook. Our Facebook page is great for that.
What would you pair this with?
So
if you could ever get your hands on it.
Yeah, that's a great point to talk about as well. We could talk about that. I'll talk about the pairing, then I want to talk about scarcity because it's really, really interesting how that goes. So pairing-wise, this has been a part of Belgian cuisine for literally hundreds of years. And it kind of just, goes hand in hand with a lot of the saltier dishes that they make. Acid and salt are great balancing acts against one another. So in Belgium, you'll see it typically paired with terrines and sausages, all manners of meat that are kind of salty. Get a nice balance, acidity and effervescence and tannin digging into the richness. Occasionally they'll use it with salads, especially with like more peppery greens like arugula. It almost acts as a kind of dressing for that. And they will also use it with mussels. It's classic to steam mussels in lambic and in gueuze because of the acid-salt interplay. I also like it with all sorts of seafood, of course. The brinier the better, the oilier the better. So you get things like bluefish and salmon, sardines, mackerel, things like that are really intensely flavored. It's phenomenal together.
You've talked in the past about drinking beer just for rarity's sake and how that's not always a great idea. But is this, you would say this is worth
in this
spending
one case,
some time to try to make it happen for yourself?
What's interesting about that point is that in this one case, the scarcity is tied to its greatness, in that the great flavors that it has are a kind of necessary result of its scarcity, or at least intertwined with its scarcity. I guess the reference against that is beer, grain is constantly available, hops are as well. It's not like with grapes, you harvest, you make the wine you can, and that's all you have for that year. We can make beer year round. We can, with refrigeration and modern industry, we can make it round the clock. So a lot of beers are artificially scarce, because you could make more if you wanted to, which is a fine thing. It's actually great to, less is more for sure in many cases. But this just simply, you can only brew this beer at certain times of the year. If you try to brew this in summer, you come out with really nasty flavors because that airborne yeast, when it's really hot, you'll encourage negative bacteria that are in the air to jump into the beer. So already with these beers, you're only brewing between November and March. Okay, and then they're little tiny breweries. They only have so many oak barrels. They only have so much space that they can go to. So it's more like wine in this case, and also it's the time. So this beer is 3 years, always 3 years plus in the making. You couldn't just brew a gueuze and release it 2 weeks later. So scarcity, it's expensive. It's becoming harder and harder to find. And one last thing I'll say about it. When I was back at the Brikskeller in the early 2000s, we couldn't give Cantillon away. We had it. We had Cantillon, you name it. We had all these wonderful lambic producers. And part of it was the acidity, the funk. People were not into sours a decade ago like they are today, of course. And the other part is that it was expensive. And back then, it was much more expensive than everything else kind of caught up in the meantime. It hasn't gotten much more expensive. But today, of course, high allocations. If you see any great lambic from these producers, traditional lambic, not the sweetened, filtered, pasteurized stuff, but traditional lambic, grab it as much as you can, and it also lays down wonderfully. Great acidity will keep it going for a long time.
Speaking of laying things down, we'll talk. We have a question, but we're out of time, so we'll get to that question next week about storing your beer and aging it and moving it around.
Yep.
And if you've got a question for Greg, the email is beeroftheweek@wtop.com. Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.